Hello, pals. Today's guest is James Adomian. James Adomian is on my show, Crapopolis, a lot. I mean, his show too. Everyone's show who's on it, whatever. He's a great voiceover actor, super funny improviser, and a brilliant comedian. And he has a special out now on YouTube. You can watch it right now. It's called Path of Least Resistance. It's produced by 800 Pound Gorilla, and the link is down there if you want to watch it. So, welcome, James Adomian, to the DTFH. That just means it's pumping it up. Mm-hmm. James, welcome to the DTFH. Man, I can't believe that you've never been on the show before. And if you have, it was a long time ago, and I don't remember.
If I have, it was a long time ago.
Man, yeah, how long have we've known each other for a long time. But
it's something like 20 years or almost that.
20 years or so. And as I was thinking about how I get to interview you, I realized, like, I only know you from the comedy scene, and also as like this brilliant voice actor in an almost supernatural way. Like, you're one of those that kind of like it seems like it's gone past talent into the occult or something. Which is great.
I appreciate that. I love getting to do that with you on Crapopolis.
Oh, it's the best, man. And it's so fun in the beginning when we're all waiting and you're making everybody laugh and like transform. Just it's essentially like it's some kind of shape-shifting. Like, I imagine that if we lived longer, if humans, say, had a 500-year lifespan and people like you got to continue to practice what you do, at some point you'd realize, like, whoa, I can actually make my face change. I can make my bone structure change. Like, you're probably some distant ancestor of some shapeshifter, a Wendigo or something, you know?
I love this idea. I love the idea of being a shapeshifter in showbiz, and you're like 120 years old and you're like, you know, I'm starting to age out of some of the roles, but I think I'm going to lean more into live shows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think in Dune, there was some bizarre, like, you know, futuristic humanoid creature that was, what was it called? The Tluxtu face shifters. And they could do that. They could, like, change their face, you know, into whatever they wanted. And I guess, I mean, obviously that's what acting is. But, you know, when you're able to do it the way you do it, as someone who would love to do that, like in the way I'd love to be able to do a backflip. I'll never do a backflip. I have scoliosis. I'm 50. It's done. Mm-hmm. But
can you do a cartwheel?
So now you're bullying me on my own podcast, huh?
No, a cartwheel is a little easier.
I could do a cartwheel, but you know, with anything I do like that, there's a great risk. You know, I could just snap, and like something where the doctor doesn't even feel bad for you. Like, well, you're 50. Why? You're paralyzed now. Why did you do that? Why did you do a cartwheel?
I broke my arm during the pandemic. I fell off a bird scooter, and after like 3 hours, I finally got to see the doctor in the ER. And the first thing he's an Armenian guy, and he comes in and he goes, "What were you doing riding a bird scooter at 1 a.m.?"
What do you think, asshole? I was hammered. Like everybody else.
I actually was not. I was going to get hammered.
I mean, is it that those kinds of injuries are the most absurd? Like, you know, you're at war or something, and you look down and your hand's blown off, and it's like, yeah, I'm at war. Right. But, you know, you're going to get some drinks, and then you look down and your arms flop down. You know what I mean? And that part of your brain is just trying to understand. The brain becomes the Armenian doctor. Like, why?
I don't know if you were there. Were you there in the bird scooter wars of 2020, Duncan?
Oh, they were rough, man. They were rough. They wanted to take them away from us. They wanted to take them away.
Pete Seeger would write songs where he was like, "Bird scooter,
you can't take my wings." But yeah, I was. Where did you grow up, James?
Well, I grew up in L.A. From the age of 9, almost 10 years old, and we moved here from Atlanta when I was a kid.
Okay, and you were born in Georgia?
Kind of. I was born in Omaha and then moved to Atlanta when I was like 2 or 3 months old.
Okay, I got one of those. A lot of comedians have that kind of like gypsy experience of the.
Yeah, maybe it was like some kind of, maybe the moving itself was some kind of like trauma where had to become a comedian afterwards. But I get people from Omaha that are like, they try to claim me and they're like, oh, you're a Nebraska guy, huh?
Oh, you're a Southerner, James.
And I'm like, I don't know. I know that there's like Warren Buffett and like cows everywhere.
Well, I mean, that move at 9 to Los Angeles from Atlanta, that is a brutal move. That's an insane. At 9, you have put down roots. At 9, I look at my kids, the oldest at 5, and like they really they need, like, if you throw one thing off on their schedule, it will wobble them intensely. And so I can't even imagine at 9, transplanting them, taking them away from their friends and everything they're used to, and then plopping them down in LA. That's a dizzying move.
Yeah, it was. Lots of other people have gone through it.
Oh yeah, me too.
And if in the old days, you would just pick up and leave somewhere, and then never be in touch with those people again.
I know.
Except in writing, maybe. But yeah, it was tough. It was tough on all of us. We had cousins that we were very close to, and that we did not see as much.
Yeah.
For years after that, and still kind of regret that.
But it's pretty exciting though. Like, I think if I was living in Atlanta and my folks were like, we're going to California, I would be pretty psyched too. Like, I'd be excited. The beach, it's not like you're moving to some shitty small town somewhere in the middle of nowhere. You're moving like to one of the greatest cities on earth. So there is that. Yeah,
I do remember being that age because we knew we were going to move for like a year, and so then everybody in school was like, you're gonna be like surfing in California. You're gonna be a beach boy.
Yeah,
and it's like, I do love the beach. I also grew up I grew up going to the beaches or Santa Monica and everywhere else. And I love that, but. There was a big shock. The biggest shocks coming to LA, even at that age in 1989, were how everything is spread out.
Yeah.
And you don't see as many people, even compared to Atlanta.
Right.
It's a bigger city, but you don't see anybody.
Right.
And it never rained, and the water tasted weird to me coming from Georgia, where it's like
sweet water in Georgia. That's sweet water
in Georgia, yeah.
Nothing like that.
Roll right down a Chattahoochee.
So why if you don't, why did your folks? Why did they move? That's a wild move.
My dad's from LA, so for him it was moving back.
Gotcha.
It was his Saturn return, I think. It was his Saturn return, and so he moved back to where he was a child to like make it.
Okay.
Not in showbiz, like in everything else.
No,
he moved back to LA.
I did that to my whole fucking family. I did a Saturn return to my whole fucking family during the pandemic. Not even, in fact, I never made the connection until just now. And honestly, I'm not sure what a Saturn return is, but I kind of vaguely believe in astrological stuff. So like, definitely during the pandemic, I'm like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. I can't have kids in LA right now. It's just, this is disastrous where they're trapped in this like compound that we are living in. So What do? I haul the whole family up to Asheville, North Carolina, where I grew up. And it was really unconscious. It was just sort of like, well, I'm familiar with that place. We need a safe place to live for a while. Like,
we need blackberries.
We need blackberries and black bears. And yeah. So we went up there, and I don't know, a year and a half in, I just realized, like, what the fuck what have we done? Like, why did I haul them? What the fuck? And so then we came to Austin, but so that is
that's the compromise.
That's the middle ground in between. So, okay, so now you're in LA, and let's see, 10, what is that? What grade is 10?
I was in the middle of fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
When we moved from Georgia to California.
Okay. Oof. Middle of fourth grade, dude. Ugh.
Yeah.
So,
it was tough. Because that's just when you're old enough to go, like, ride your bike to the next town. like do stuff and you have like a lot of friends and stuff and you know how the world works, and then it's like you're very close to people too at that age. And it arguably, when you see kids out there that are like 9-10 years old, they're very often smarter than most adults. Like you haven't unlearned a bunch of things.
Yep, that's right. Oh my God, it's shocking. It's shocking, and also most people completely, like, for no reason at all, think kids are fucking idiots just because they don't have the language capacity to articulate their experience. They're having arguably a more, I guess, a pure experience of reality compared to, like, we have all these filters up, right? Like, all the things you learn to filter out to not see, they're seeing the whole damn thing. They're beyond good and evil, to quote Nietzsche. Kids are beyond good and evil. You know,
the children are the ones that must be blamed and punished, and the world belongs to them as well. Friedrich Nietzsche.
God, I wish he fucking said that.
I played him once in a live podcast at UCB, and I got three mustaches and put them all on my face to play Friedrich Nietzsche.
Okay, so I found this great podcast, weird podcast, but he just did this whole hour on Nietzsche. And, you know, I know anyone who's, like, went to college or anyone who went, like, through a bitter phase knows Nietzsche. It's just...
Anyone who's ever worn a pea coat that goes down below their knees?
Here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And, you know, it does appeal to, like... It's appealing on one level, especially if you're pissed off and you find Nietzsche and now it's like, fuck yeah, will to power, baby. Yeah, that's all it's all about. But
right.
This is actually interesting because we all know Nietzsche had syphilis, and that's what he, aside from his philosophy, that's the second thing people say, which just sucks, right? You're like one of the great philosophers. No one's like Socrates, he had herpes. You know what I mean? It's like Nietzsche, syphilis.
So Socrates, the second thing you know is that he was supposed to be ugly. Everyone says how ugly he was.
What the fuck? Who cares? It's he must. You know how ugly you have to be for that to fall. You're Socrates, and like,
to be remembered for 2,500 years that way.
Wow, he's wise, but he is ugly, man. That is an ugly piece of shit. Well. It's really interesting because Nietzsche, he was really there was this I can't remember her name, but I suspect that a lot of what we think of as like his philosophy and a lot of the stuff that came out of his time period came from her. Like in the same way you had Crick and Watson who were the DNA people.
Well, his sister compiled a lot of his work and edited some of it.
Yeah, again, this is pure speculation, but he was in love with this psychiatrist.
Oh, right.
Right? And I think she was sort of friends. I mean, I don't know if it was romantic or whatever, but with like Rilke, with, I think, who's March of the Valkyries?
Wagner. I think all these guys, had been enamored of this intellectual a woman who was an academic, including Nietzsche among them, and then she didn't want it.
He got
and
jilted.
Then he kind of got really bitter about it.
Yeah, and you read some of the letters he wrote to her, and like you realize, like, whoa, like he was so butthurt and brokenhearted, and that I think that informed a lot of his writings. But you gotta wonder, because you know when you're dating anybody, their point of view gets into your worldview. And you got to wonder, how much did this woman, and it's so ironic we can't remember her name right now, because she's a lady, and you can't remember her name. It's such bullshit. But, like, how much...
I didn't know this would be on the pop quiz.
It's the problem is, like, I can pick up big ideas, but names, this is why I love when someone's a doctor. You don't have to remember their name. You just go doctor, and it feels right.
Right, doc.
But anyway, yeah, I just wonder...
Can you imagine if doctors didn't have that, and you had to go, hey, man... Hey, pal. Hey, listen, friend. I got a question for you.
Hey, man, you really got to take out my kidney. Come on, man.
Can I get a second vibe on this?
So you played Nietzsche. Now, for like something like that, how much, aside from like the mustaches, how much do you prepare for it? Did you read it? What did you do to get ready for that?
Sure, crash course, pick up if I have a book, I think I did at the time, pick up like the edited Nietzsche reader and, go through it and read some of the major quotes. Like you read the first and last sentence of every chapter and then be like, okay, I kind of got it. Just to remember the basics, because
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not doing that kind of thing. I've done so many things like that were one-time things.
Right.
And I'm going to do it for one night, and I don't have a budget. I'm not getting paid for it. And it's, if I'm lucky, someone's filming it.
Right.
Or so I'm here to make one audience laugh, and it's not a Broadway play. I am not here to delight critics.
Right.
And so I'm just here to make a room full of people laugh. So I'm like, I kind of think, and I've done this again and again with other things, like when I've done Orson Welles or Walt Whitman, I did also, where it's like, whatever I remember is probably what everyone else remembers. And that's like all you need.
Right. Yeah, you're not doing There Will Be Blood. Like, this isn't like, you don't have to, like, whatever Daniel Day-Lewis did, like, sit in.
I think it would be more impressive if Daniel Day-Lewis stayed out of character for 3 months and just partied.
I'm sure everyone on the set feels like that, too.
But just tried the costume out, So he was wearing the Abraham Lincoln top hat, but just going out to punk shows.
I mean, he, like, that commitment to the craft that borders on, like, madness it's always seemed appealing to me. I mean, there must be, like, in my left foot? Like, he didn't he have people carry him around? Did you hear this? This could be wrong, but I heard it.
I did not hear this.
So, okay. So you're like, you got a job. You're telling everyone in the new Daniel Day-Lewis movie, I'm going to be able to work with him. And it's like, your job is to go to his trailer and carry his fucking ass into a wheelchair, wheel him to set. He's like fully in that character for the whole fucking time. I mean, I've heard that, like, being around method actors is real annoying. Like,
and then as far as union rules, it's like, which department is it's their job to cart around the crazy actor?
PA.
It's the PA.
It's gotta be, right? Like,
it's not props. It's not set dressing.
Yeah, that is a conversation I'm sure that they have, like, behind the scenes. Like, is he set dressing? Is he that kind of acting is so impressive, though. I mean, but this is, okay, there's two main things I wanted to talk to you about, but to finish up the story of, like, how you got into this, when you were in Atlanta, were you already sort of, a lot of comics, they sort of demonstrate these traits that if their parents were comedians or actors, they would recognize, like, oh, okay, there's an artist here, there's something happening. Were you beginning to demonstrate some of those traits as early as, okay, like what? I want to thank ExpressVPN for supporting this episode of the DTFH. I love ExpressVPN. It feels so good to click the button and know that I am protected. Not only that, it allows you to teleport, not literally, but if you want whatever website you're on to think you're in California, I don't know, let's just say, like, whatever state you live in has some kind of weird rule that you might have to give your driver's license or something to certain things, or who the fuck knows what, Netflix. It doesn't show you things based on the country you're in. And ExpressVPN changes that instantly for you. Just decide where you want to be. And it's really weird to see how your media landscape changes once you start doing that. It's incredible. So not only is it like the prophylactic of the internet, you should be using ExpressVPN no matter what, but also it opens up an entire new universe of content for you and reveals how all of us are getting completely different experiences of what's on our boob tubes. So you got to try it. I use them all the time. Works on all of my devices, laptops, tablets, smart TVs, and it works on 8 devices at the same time. And by the way, this is not in the script here, but I can barely use the remote control anymore. My wife laughs at me. She mocks me when I say, let me pick a show out, because I can't. I fumble through. I don't like waiting when I search for something. My point is, if I can use ExpressVPN, you can use ExpressVPN. It's incredibly easy. Get your money's worth and get 3 extra months of ExpressVPN for free when you go to expressvpn.com/Duncan. That's expressvpn.com/Duncan. expressvpn.com/Duncan.
Yeah, I not just by myself, but with my brother and with my cousins. We were all very funny. And in my mom's family, the women are funny. My mom's family is kind of a matriarchal family. And so my grandmother was the funny one, and all of the daughters were really funny. And so we were always making each other laugh, and life wasn't perfect. There's a lot of fighting. There was a lot of fighting and screaming and crying and laughing, you know?
Yeah.
And, some of my earliest memories are making people laugh, imitating things off of the TV. Like, even at the age of 3, I clocked that the newscasters talked in a way that no one else does.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very funny. And I would walk around, and the adults thought it was extremely funny that I would do the news voice at the age of 3.
That's insane. That's insane. You know, like, if my 3-year-old started doing the news voice, I would be so thrilled. And my wife, I think she would be somewhat unnerved, knowing, oh fuck, he's gonna be an actor. It's the direction he's going in. But yeah, so that's pretty wild, man. Also early on, as soon as I could get on stage, I did it. Another early memory is we were at like a bluegrass festival somewhere in North Georgia, or perhaps as far up as North Carolina, and up at the mountains there. And we were at some bluegrass festival, and I'm a tiny little kid, and I jumped up on stage with the bluegrass band and started dancing, and everyone loved it, and I stayed on stage dancing with them. Wow. See, there it is. These are the signs. Like, now, sorry if this is too personal.
It's fine. Well, I knew what I was getting into.
Okay.
The trestle fire.
The trestle fire. I don't understand, as someone as talented as you, why, as a hobby, you euthanize animals. I'm just kidding. No, I've got to ask. Off stage, I feel very wobbly and neurotic. But when I get on stage, it's like, for a second, all that kind of like, all the bats fly out of the cave, and it's just this wonderful kind of peace. Do you have that experience in life?
Yes. And sometimes I'm aware of it, and sometimes I'm not consciously on top of it, but it happens no matter what. There's 2 things that I have latched on to over the years, but mostly it's kind of it starts out being bravado and like, I've got to do this and figure out how to do this.
Right.
But then in hindsight, when I've looked back on everything I've done, there's 2 things that come to mind. And one is Douglas Adams, and I think it's in the first Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book. He describes some alien planet where there's like a showman who's a master of ceremonies, and there's this paragraph where he describes I'm going to paraphrase the whole thing, where it's like this hulking, sad, depressed, self-ashamed figure, hunched, full of self-doubt, fearfully crawled his way towards the stage, hurriedly going through his notes and terrified of what was to come. Then the music blared and the lights changed, and the most charismatic figure stepped on stage.
Yeah.
And that I experience that all the time. Where this is a different thing.
It's so weird. It's like it's not a split personality, but like it seems like it could be it could be right, like rubbing shoulders with that. And like I've been doing this thing before I go on stage, especially if I am like all up in my head. I just try to really notice that, and then I try to like notice what happens when I get on stage, and the difference is so night and day that it's almost like a mini death or something, and also the way time, I don't know, my experience of time performing is like it seems to it stops existing for a second, like it's like a time warp experience. Do you have that?
Yeah, there's like stage time. When I'm counting out stage time, and you kind of know when you've done 10, 15, 20. I have a pretty good clock for how long the show is going.
Yeah.
And it extends to other things where I'm like, how long have we been here? About 30 minutes, and it's kind of exactly 30 minutes.
You're right.
But there is occasionally a moment where I'll be on stage and have the thought cross my mind, oh, wow, this is working, or, oh, this is fun. And I know better than to even, I don't even allow the thought to rest at all. It's like, it has to flash through.
Yes, right. Yes, flash through. That's right. You got to let the bird fly through the forest. It can't land in one of the trees.
You can't sit there on stage being like, "Wow, this is going really well," because then it's not going to.
No, then it's over. It's over.
So like,
it's so paradoxical.
At the same time, something might go wrong, and I might have a little flash where I go, oh, okay, I got to dial it back for these people, or dial it up for these people, or whatever. Or, this guy over here in the corner is going to be a problem. But again, it's just like it's a momentary thing. And this was the other thing I wanted to say about the difference between stage brain and off stage. John Roy, my friend, the comic, he's a Chicago guy. Yeah. And he's a longtime comic in LA and, occasionally New York and the road. And, we've written a lot of things together. And, John Roy said, he was realizing I think he wrote this actually in some blog that the moments right before you go on stage and the first minute that you're on stage, he says the brain of the performer is doing so many calculations where you are assessing what the room is like as far as sound and light.
Yeah.
What the audience is like, what the ceiling is like, how much space there is, how you appear and sound on stage, that you're doing all these calculations about everything and like how hot the room is, what time the show is and everything, and are they having a good time or not before you get on stage. And that he says people don't realize that there's like this immediate like set of calculations that happen in the performer's mind.
So weird.
And that laps over into the first part of the show, and then you're kind of like, okay, now we're in it.
Yeah, it's like my dad, I think, would drag me into the woods to go hunting when I was a kid. I never liked it. But
right.
If I watch shows where there's like a professional hunter, you know what I mean? And they have this bizarre thing where they're like hearing everything. Like they're tuned in to like just like everything. Yeah, it's like that. You're listening. That's funny you mentioned the sound of the audience, because people might not know this, but before a show, audiences have different sounds, and that sound will give you some indication of like how hot they or cold they might be. That sound, you can tell a happy audience from a sort of tired audience, even before you go on stage, just the way they sound. An audience that has phones, an audience that has their phones in those bags, different sounding audiences. That's so cool. He mentioned that. Yeah. And I think a lot of performers do that instinctually, but don't even realize they're doing it. They don't understand that they're doing it.
And, I've come to, you can tell even backstage before the show starts, if you're listening to the audience, and if they have that little ribble, the very low chatter, it's probably going to be a great show.
Yep. Yes. Yes. Okay. So this is the last part of the biographical conversation. I just realized, like, I didn't know your story. So now, at what point did you go from I love getting on stage to this is gonna be my job. I'm going for it.
That was kind of always the direction that I was tumbling and falling into.
Yeah.
My dad thought that I should be a lawyer because he thought that's where, okay, if you're charismatic and outgoing and you're a performer, the real money is in, you should be like a trial attorney. And he wasn't wrong about that, but I mean, I was the one that would, as soon as I had the authority to walk to the video store and rent videos that the family would watch that week, as soon as I was like deputized myself to do that, with the family rental card or whatever, it was like I was doing like an encyclopedic survey of like how many, I'm going to make sure I see as many of the Mel Brooks movies as I can find.
Right.
And I've got to make, what's this, Abbott and Costello, I haven't seen this one. Oh, the Tex Avery cartoons, I haven't seen this particular release. And I was upset. I was constantly always renting comedy movies, basically.
Right.
More than stand-up specials, comedy movies is what I learned everything from. Also stand-up to a lesser degree, but like,
well, you're
or
kind
like
of a
some
hybrid,
TV show,
right?
like The Best of Carol Burnett, you know?
But you're like, like my friend Pemberton. He's a hybrid. He's like a stand-up and an actor. But you're a stand-up, but you do sketch and improv, and that's a more common kind of hybrid, I guess. But it's still pretty rare because it's like a bunch of different things: stand-up, impressions, and then also the ability to like do hilarious sketch shows, and which doesn't just mean like anyone who's put on a sketch show knows that is a nightmare. The lead up to it, the writing process, a lot of arguments, depending on how many people you're doing it with, fighting over jokes. The amount of energy that goes into putting on a stage sketch show is crazy.
This was, this was, I mean, you know this as much as I do. When I started doing stand-up more the second time, I had walked away from it and then I went back to it. I really appreciated how it was kind of like you're a solo operator and your colleagues in stand-up if you're really close, give you a note like, hey, I got an idea for a tag for one of your jokes or something. But other than that, it's kind of unmediated between you and the audience. Yeah. You got to get booked. There's still some of that, but there was none of the drama, the backstage of, oh my God, she's angry at him, with different like cast members and stuff. Yes. There was none of that. We were all like solo operators.
The best.
And you don't have to drag costumes around. That was a big thing because I was coming off of doing George W. Bush all the time back in those days. And I wanted something easier, so I decided to perform as myself more. Yeah. And because I was always finding myself at some goddamn music venue where there's like stickers and cum on the mirror in the bathroom and having to put on a George W. Bush costume.
Yeah, it's a grind.
And dragging that shit through a crowded place where it's like, no, I'm on the show with a big stupid bag.
Yeah, I guess stand-ups are kind of like the nudists of the entertainment world. Like we have to be, we don't have the character generally. It's just ourselves. And that, I think, is why it scares actors or scares people, because that seems too vulnerable or potentially like humiliating. Because, you get rejected as a character.
Yeah.
You're closer
you're closer to yourself, although I think not everybody, some people, a lot of performers who do stand-up have a persona on stage.
Oh yeah,
or whether it's conscious or not, or like a heightened version of themselves that's like the act.
Sure, absolutely, yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
Mhm.
That in some comics, the person they are on stage versus off stage is like night and day. Some comics, it's the exact same person, which is wild to me. And it's interesting, but the joy, and also anyone who's been friends with a traveling musician, they're a fucking moving company too. They're having to get in there to do sound checks and to like haul their shit on stage. It's just
The music stuff I can't fathom. I see it, and sometimes my instinct, if I go see, if I'm very lucky that in addition to having a lot of comedians as friends, I have a lot of musicians as friends because it's the next it's the next town over in the in Insanity Town. It's like they're the neighbors, to where comedy is. And so like my instinct is always like, can I help you carry these like 300 drums you have to your giant van that's illegally parked?
Yes. And that's their daily experience. That's why musicians have a more rugged quality to them. They've got they love what they do so much that and there's no choice unless you become, I don't know, like Fish or something, where you've got like 3 fucking giant trucks filled with pyrotechnics and people who do everything. But even then, you still have to come in for that fucking sound check, man. In a comic, we can come in, 10 minutes before we're supposed to go on stage. And that is so nice.
I love it when you play a music venue and they expect they're like, well, we have the sound check, we have the space for you from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. and then you come in at 6:30 and you're like, yeah, this is good. I'll have the monitors down at a 1.
And they're so surprised because they get abused. They get abused. So they're just like, what the fuck? You can feel when you go, like if you ever gone to someone's house as a kid and their parents have been like beating them or something, and you get this just general weird vibe in there. That's what people who work at music venues feel like.
When you get to someone's house, I remember this feeling where it's maybe not your friend that you're coming to hang out with, but like his brother got in trouble just now before you showed up.
That's the feeling.
There's been some crying.
That's the feeling, because they're getting these fucking hammered, like heroin juiced up, God knows what. They're pissed. They've got like, depending on the band, they're bringing like weird groupies, and they're like jizzing, like you said, as a tradition. Every musician, people don't know this, and I probably shouldn't give away an industry secret, but the way actors will say break a leg, if you're in a band, you jerk off on a mirror together. That's right. And
then you put your band sticker over it.
And you put the band sticker over it. A lot of people don't know that. That's not what a lot of them don't even have adhesive on the back of the sticker. It's just they know they're going to use it. It's gross. I think it's gross. I mean, I'm not a musician though, so I don't know. Maybe that helps the show.
Maybe that's part of the process.
Okay, now this is real dumb, my idea, and feel free to reject it. I have created last night. I don't know if you knew this about me, but I am like an incredible artist, and I do sketches, and they're beautiful. I've been compared to Picasso, and I turn down the offers for shows.
And you pay for your meals sometimes by drawing on the placemat at Hardee's or Carl's Jr. or whatever.
Carl's Jr. I can't break through. It's hard at Carl's Jr. Carl's Jr. I can't break through. It's tough there. People don't know that, man. And like, honestly, I think it's an issue of taste. I know this is going to make me seem bitter, but I feel like Carl's Jr. they have shitty taste in art, because some of my friends get in there with their Transformer sketches and free meals all day long. But for me, they're just like, no.
Transformer sketches.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime was rewarding to draw because he had 2 big pecs. His windows were like big pec muscles.
Listen, I know you. You probably like are into drawing Transformers. A lot of people are these days. I'm not going to do it, and I will not. And everyone who's leaving in the comments, please, because this is constantly on the comments. Please draw a Transformer for us. I'm not going to do it. That's not my style. But This episode of the DTFH is brought to you by my actual friends at True Classic Tees. This is the coolest thing ever. One of my friends texted me and said the genius behind True Classic Tees liked the last read I did and wanted to talk to me. And I got in the best phone conversation with him. Oh my God. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I didn't really know much about the company other than their shirts are the best t-shirts I've ever worn. But as it turns out, they're philanthropists. They're constantly donating money. It's an incredible story about how True Classic Tees came into existence. But what's even better is the person running it is super cool. I'm not saying his name just because I don't know if I can. I'm sure you could Google it. But these are the best t-shirts ever. And I am a never nude. I don't like I have strong opinions about t-shirts that are probably a bad sign. You shouldn't care that much. You shouldn't be irritated by certain types of shirts. You should just deal with it. It's a shirt. Who cares? That's not who I am. There's a store in LA. It's the only store I know of that sells these t-shirts that I like. So before True Classic Tees, when I went to LA, I would go, it's so embarrassing. I would go there and just buy a pile of black t-shirts. It's so embarrassing. And the ones I have, because I haven't been to LA for a while, are just falling apart. Some of them are getting perma stink. You know, where you've worn a shirt so long, your pheromones are just kind of part of it now, and it's just always gonna stink. You could throw it in some kind of decontamination bath underneath DARPA, and it would still stink. So to stumble upon True Classic Tees as a sponsor is incredibly lucky for me, and even better, they're gonna send me a bunch of shirts, which I would have ordered anyway. I gotta replace these old stinkers. You gotta try these shirts. This is real passion. Maybe that's embarrassing. I don't know. But to find a great t-shirt in this world of darkness is, it's like wandering in a desert, finding an oasis, except it's not an oasis. It's a t-shirt, which probably would suck because who cares? You're dying of thirst. But in this case, it's great. Fall is here. It's time to step up your game. Right now, you can unlock big savings when you bundle packs. Just go to my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/Duncan to save. That's trueclassic.com/Duncan. It's time for you to experience something that is very hard to find these days. The feeling of being hugged by unicorn skin. Soft, perfect in every way. Thank you, True Classic Tees. Here's what I did last night. I made a little mini comic strip. And I was wondering, and it's very simple. You probably won't be able to read my writing. But I was wondering if you could do the voices in it for me.
Yeah, how many panels is it?
500. Not many panels. It's big. You'll see. So here we go. I'm going to plug this thing in. Let me know if you could see it, because this is a new thing. We don't know. Hold on. Don't pull it up yet. I have to put my password in. They'll know. Well, I guess they won't see it. These fucking internet.
You're in the mainframe. You've hacked into the. I'm inside Riverside.
Yeah. I'm in there, baby. Okay, here we go.
It will be uploading as a simultaneous side path to our recording. It'll be uploading on the side.
Correct. Okay, do you see that, James? Can you reverse it?
Yeah.
There's a way to reverse
Clown
it.
School.
Does it look reversed to you?
I read it correctly.
Okay. Clown School, issue 1. All right. Let me go back.
So I'll start with the cover page, okay?
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it. Hold on. I'll bring it back up.
Clown School, issue 1. What?
Perfect. Okay, hold on. Now, this might look daunting, but it's not a lot of dialogue. Okay, here's the first panel.
He has me on the podcast as a way to lure me into doing the voiceover for his animatic.
Oh, when you see how marketable this is as it continues, you will feel used a little bit because I feel like this is going straight to Disney.
No, it's slightly pixelated, so I can't read the text. Can you make it bigger any?
I can't, but wait.
Damn it. Or can we send it? Can you send
see
them
it now? Can you see it now?
Plume? Is it Plume?
It says, this was Chad Plunk.
Okay, here we go. This was Chad Plunk.
You know what? Can you do a more feminine voice for it? And I'm not using you here. I just thought it'd be funny. Let's do a feminine voice for this. So slightly feminine. This might be a lady.
I think, yeah, this looks like, what's her name from Chinatown? You know, this is great not knowing the name of a famous.
I don't know the name of anybody anymore, man. I don't even want to get an
This was
name on
Chris Plunk.
Chad.
This was Chris Plunk.
Perfect. Next frame. He was a high school hero.
Maybe if there's a chat, is there a chat? Not really. Is there?
He was a high school hero.
Okay, let me try it. He was a high school hero. He was a high school hero.
The heartthrob of Bixley.
I still can't read it. It's slightly.
Here, I'll just
pixelated,
whisper
I'm
it to
sorry.
you. The
Okay.
heartthrob of Bixby.
The heartthrob of Bixby.
And then like a teen girl going, he's hot.
He's hot. It's hot.
At the lake, he told me his deepest secret.
At the lake, he told me his deepest secret.
Now, jock voice. I want to be a clown.
I want to be a clown.
And then
A clown?
that's cool, I guess.
That's cool, I guess.
I didn't know.
That's cool, I guess.
I didn't know what to say.
I didn't know what to say.
Okay, jock voice. Can you read it?
Something. No, I can't.
That's cool.
Bitcoin?
That's cool. That's all you have to say, you bitch. That's cool. That's all you have to say, you bitch.
That's cool. That's all you have to say, you bitch. You stupid bitch.
Okay.
That's cool. That's all you have to say, you bitch. You stupid bitch.
Okay, then jump to this one.
Yeah, I think I can read that one.
Okay.
You whore.
And then
You whore. And then I was crushed. I was crushed. Why would you say that?
hold on. Well, that's wrong. Don't look at that one. No, not, now we're going to go here. We'll just skip over these. I drove home crying.
I drove home crying. I drove home crying.
2 days later, they found his body.
2 days later, they found his body.
Hold on.
2 days later, they found his body.
Someone strapped a clown nose to his face.
Someone strapped a clown nose to his face.
And then
Someone strapped a clown nose to his face.
the cops found a huge card by his body.
The cops found a huge card by his body. The cops found a huge card by his body.
It says, you've been invited to clown school.
You've been invited to clown school.
This is amazing, dude. Thank you. I'm starting to feel guilty. I swear to God, it's so bad, James. There wasn't a moment of me thinking, the reason I felt okay getting you to do the voices is because to me, this seems as no one is buying Clown School.
No, but you could. Here's the thing: you need a different artist. You need a different artist.
What the fuck?
No, you need someone to take your sketches and recreate them into a living version.
Hey, Picasso, we need someone to take cubism and turn it into a... No, my friend. Try like this. Oh, my God. You make me feel like Nietzsche. This rejection from an artist I respect.
You're going to go silent for 14 years?
And I do have syphilis.
I refuse to speak. I will eat only gruel.
Okay, we're almost done.
Here's a question I have real quick about that. Oh, we're still going.
No, wait, we're almost done. We're almost done. That's the true story of your father.
Okay. That's the true story of your father.
And then...
That's the true story of your father.
And then like a teen voice.
What the hell, man?
What the hell, Mom?
What the hell, Mom? You said I was adopted. What the hell, Mom? You said I was adopted.
And then, now that I'm dying of cancer, I thought you should know the truth.
I thought you should know the truth. Okay.
Now that I'm dying.
Now that I'm dying of cancer, I thought you should know the truth. Now that I'm dying of cancer, I thought you should know the truth. You have cancer? You lying bitch!
That's pretty much it.
Clown School, issue number 1.
That was amazing. Thank you.
Use the app Procreate.
The best. Like,
I need to get it because I've been using the native app on this iPad.
No.
And I created this kind of cartoon character that I like a lot.
Can I see it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I got to get it from the other room.
No problem.
This is the original character. I named him Floppo, and this is the first one I drew. That's a mirror image of him, but I like him a lot, and I like that he has no mouth and he's kind of sarcastic.
Wow,
And,
I like Floppo.
I draw him in different scenarios, but I'm not good enough. I'm not as talented as an artist as I am performing, so it's hard for me to make him look like the same character in different poses and scenarios.
Yeah, well,
but I like
here,
him because
let me give you
every
some
time
advice.
I draw him, I need to take a class or advice.
No,
or
you're with
but
me. You don't need to take a class. Let me bring something up for you here that will help you, James. Now,
is there a Dan Harmon? Is there a Dan Harmon? Like here's my 12-step character writing.
Take a work at the line work there, James. And I will send this to you if you need like reference to help you. I'm actually check out my masterclass, guys, on drawing comics. No, man.
Masterclass is such a great scam. It's like, how did they get all these A- listers?
I mean, dude, I think masterclass, like, I will be honest, like, when I didn't expect to get the job on Crapopolis because I never have thought of myself as a voice actor, and so suddenly I'm going to be working with people like you, all the other great cast members, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
the
like,
big leagues, Duncan.
oh, please. Oh, give me a fucking break, James. Like seriously, you are such a genius at this. And like, it's intimidating, dude. Like, you don't know what that was like. Like in the beginning, like, I don't know how to do it.
You had done it many times. You seem like a natural.
Well, I got to use my own voice, but still, it's like, being some open micer or something who gets lucky enough to, like, you know, or unlucky enough to like actually have a real like show or something. It's like that feeling. So I did go on masterclass to learn tricks of voice acting, dude, because I was so free. Yes, and I watched the masterclass by the actress who plays Lisa Simpson. She has one.
Okay.
And I needed that, man, because
Yardley Smith, am I right?
I can't. God, I don't remember names, but
I forget if that's her name.
I watched Sarah Sherman put stuff up. I was like really looking at like the tricks to try to like, and there you don't even realize it because you've been doing it so long, but there's like some of the stuff you just do naturally because since you were 3, you've been studying.
I've been doing cartoon voiceovers for so long. Almost naturally, I do everything twice.
Ah, that's hilarious. That's what you were doing with this. Oh my God.
Yeah,
you
just
were
do
doing
2
the
takes.
double take. The double take. That's so funny. Yeah, so like I think
That would be a funny thing in a sketch if you had 2 cartoon actors just hanging out for lunch and they're like ordering from the menu and they're like, I'll have the ham sandwich but salad instead of fries. I'll have the ham sandwich but salad instead of fries.
That's the funniest thing when you record. For those of you who the way voice over auditions work is, at least for me, it's rarely in front of a person, never. And so they will send you some lines, and you can do 2 takes of each, and which is gotta be really like annoying for the casting director over like hours of listening to this echo. But sometimes you'll just do it exactly the same way, like almost indistinguishable. Like, you know what I mean? Or at least that's, you probably don't have that problem. I do. All the tricks, because when I listen to you and I pay attention to you when you're on Crapopolis, and when I watch the way that you are finding these moments, these micro moments within a line that from a slight emphasis pulls this hilarious thing out of the line. It's so cool, man. It's like magic watching the way you guys do that stuff. But yeah, man. So we have to do double takes basically whenever we do auditions for voices, and it's fucking hard.
Yeah, we do the auditions.
Not the auditions, but voice acting. It's great when you get the job. It's the coolest thing ever. But like learning how to do it.
I should not have slammed masterclass. I regret it because now I'm realizing that it's the alternate path for people who are getting into something that have just as much a right to be there. And it's an informal education. And dare I say, you could imagine if Nietzsche were here today.
I would take his masterclass in a fucking
Masterclass would
second.
be so amazing.
Do Nietzsche doing a masterclass on power.
Power is an innate quality of the human condition.
Yeah, you know.
Will to power.
Yes. Yes. By the way, you know, I did think of something that is so dumb. You know, if I had infinite resources, though, I'd make it. Lifetime. It's a Lifetime movie.
That's Kierkegaard, by the way, the Knight of Infinite Resources. Hey-o!
I was going to say that. You did Kierkegaard there. I wouldn't know Kierkegaard. But here's the Lifetime movie. You star it as a series, actually. It's about a trial attorney who does impressions.
Oh, fuck. That's a great, terrible idea. It's such a large idea. It just might work.
It's so stupid. But you win every case.
And in the pilot, and he commits there's that I found out recently. I forget what it's called because it's a word that sounds like another word slightly different, but it can be a crime when you take an impression to a certain level. It's like impersonation. It's adjacent to impersonation, but without how do I say it this way? If you not impersonating with fake credentials, which is its own crime, like, hey, I'm an FBI agent.
Yeah.
But for example, if you call up someone on the phone or show up in person and pretend to be someone who should have authority, I believe without showing credentials at that level, but there's still just even presenting yourself that there's this crime that can be committed.
Whoa.
And I forget that it's like a very simple, like Anglo-Saxon word, but I forget what it's called. But I recently discovered it, where if you call up and pretend to be, if you're a journalist and you call up and pretend to be, supply chain guy asking
Sure.
about some shipment or something,
Yeah.
that in certain jurisdictions it might be illegal to do that.
Yeah, well, good.
So the jerky boys, the jerky boy, what they do is not always legal.
No. I mean, no. I like
Hello, ooh, hello.
that's the voice. That was my favorite character too. Do you ever
Ooh, I'll bring all my glasses and all my shoes. Ooh.
you man, my loves, I don't want to feel like I'm dying at the movie theater. And that is something that sadly has happened to me many a time, because when I'm about to go to the movies, I think, I'll have an edible. It'll be fun. They don't serve booze at the movies. I like getting baked. I'll just get, baked and watch a great movie. And then you get there and all you're thinking about is like, I wonder what state of decay my grandmother's corpse is in right now. I don't like that. That's not the kind of high I'm looking for in the world. Sometimes it's not the worst, but I want to be in some place I can cocoon or take a bath or scream, not a movie theater. So this is where today's sponsor comes in, Soul. They have created the perfect dosage of edible weed. And not just the perfect dosage, for example, like a true microdose, meaning you just want to go jogging and enjoy the colors. You don't want to go jogging and wonder if a cryptid is hiding in a stump that's going to jump out and attack you. And then you think, what would I even do? Like, I don't know how to fight. It would probably just eat me. And they probably think a dog attacked me, but it wasn't a dog. It was some kind of chupacabra Mothman hybrid, and ruins your jog. You just want a nice, like, happy, euphoric high. Soul has that for you. But if you want to wade in a little deeper, not too deep, try their out of office gummies. They're wonderful. Not too hot, not too cold, but a little bit more than what you might want just if you were out running errands or organizing something or trying to learn how to juggle. It's amazing. We are so lucky. Again, I know I'm an old man, and maybe that's good because I could I could remind you youngs of the old days. Back in the old days, you couldn't advertise THC. Couldn't order it, but now it's legal in all of the states. You could just order it now. You could fly with it. It's so incredible. Take advantage of this incredible time in history, and because probably the reptilians will be like, hell no. What were we thinking? This holiday season, give the gift of soul. Head to getsoul.com and use code Duncan for 30% off your order. That's 30% off your order using code Duncan. One last time, getsoul.com and code Duncan for 30% off. Thank you, Soul. There are so many things that you could do that would be like another Lifetime movie. And I'm only mentioning Lifetime or Hallmark Channel because I finally, when I go on the road, managed to shift from Forensic Files to the Hallmark Channel, which is also dark, but in a completely different kind of dark.
So that's your road diet of television is different on when you're out there?
Well, yeah, yes, I watch more TV out there, or I'll have it running in the background. And at some point I realized, why I have this constant droning, death voice always in the background, this constant narration of the worst thing that could ever happen just droning in the background. And an impression, let me tell you this, I don't practice impressions, but that one I would try and try.
You should.
I can't do it. I can't do
you can
impressions.
also just, the trick is you don't need to be accurate about anything. You could just take your own voice and pitch it down. I mean, be Duncan with a deeper voice. And then you've basically got...
Well, Lisa Williams was walking home from the park when she noticed a glittering object in a nearby bush.
Well, I gotta say, when you do it, it sounds like the murderer himself got a job as the voiceover artist on the true crime show.
I'm lucky because my wife will not tolerate. Like, I try to do impressions all the time, and she's very. It was in our vows. Please don't say something's funny when it's not. And like, I almost wish I could go back in time and take out the fucking vows, but she will be like, "That is horrible. That impression is just terrible, Duncan. That doesn't sound like them at all." And that's 100% of the time. Like, I can't. There was maybe one time where she's like, "That's okay." But how would you do the Forensic Files guy?
I'm trying. It's the problem I have with it is there's 100,000 years of that show, and I was on the road with Anthony Atamanik and his sister-in-law, who was producing our show in 2020, Trump versus Bernie, and they were constantly watching Forensic Files, and it goes back to like the late 80s, I guess, and like there's like years and years and years, decades of episodes, and I think. Up until, and they were laughing, and I was kind of horrified, but also it was funny because of how wrong it is that up until like very recent seasons, they would be shaming the victim subtly or not even subtly, where they'd be like, she was known to hang out late at night at bars.
Yeah,
investigators wondered if this was to blame for her ultimate demise. And you're like, that's so offensive.
They found semen on her glittery, swirly dress.
Yes, and it's so shockingly embarrassing that you're like, I don't know what the rules are. Apparently you can tell campfire stories about anybody once they're gone.
Her exposed cleavage had fishhooks in it.
Yeah,
you're right.
It also gets too grisly for me. It gets too grisly for me because I don't live in that world. I know people who do.
No, don't live in that world. That's a bad world. And man, it's gotten worse because they like Forensic Files somehow I guess it's going to keep going as long as like the world is hell. But Forensic Files. Like, it for whatever reason, someone's like, look, let's show more of the dead body. So now they'll just like, you'll be watching, and they used to like maybe you'd see a finger or something. Now it's just like, let's just show them the whole fucking thing. So, you get battered with it, and but what's weird about, I think that dude's voice is so strangely like soothing. If you didn't speak English and you heard his voice, it could easily be some kind of ASMR, fall asleep.
Investigators arrived at the scene at 4:15 in the morning.
Perfect.
On Saturday the 25th. By that point, the body was already badly decomposed.
Yeah, decomposed. Like, and just, it's so fucked up that that is like headline news is basically the Forensic Files channel. It's just Forensic Files. It's like. If we did live in hell, which sometimes I don't really think that, but if I'm in a dark state, I would I often will think, well, I mean, if I was making hell, I wouldn't want people to know it was hell. I'd want them to think they hadn't gone to hell yet. And you know what I mean? But that would be the kind of thing that's always on TV.
You know what I thought of actually recently? I was making my brother laugh about this. That if you were going to truly, if I was being a benevolent like dictator in charge of something, and I was going to truly be able to punish like a great war criminal, you would not do this to someone who is just merely a murderer. I mean, someone who is like with a state power, the power of a national state, had killed like many, many people, like George W. Bush or Dick Cheney. And you convict them of the laws, you have a righteous show trial, whatever. Here's my great punishment is. Put them in a Halloween like experience, like a haunted house, but forever, for the rest of their life, to make them think that they're in hell, and really commit to it with actors, and really try with great stagecraft to make it like they're in hell.
This is the cartoon I would watch.
every day that they're like, there's like, you have been here for 1,300 years. Your sentence is for infinity.
Love it. I love it. That is brilliant. See, those are the ideas that need to get made. Netflix, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? That's the best show ever. Like, here's
Hellscape.
Let's develop it a little bit here. It's so cool. So, yeah, basically, there's two ways to go with it. One, which is, it's all Gnosticism basically, but one, which is, and I believe it could even be like the Scientology view, but I'm not sure. I got lucky enough to have the Scientology channel up in a hotel I was staying at. Like somehow they had the channel, so I got to watch all
it is
day.
like channel 858 or something.
Highly recommend. It's so fun to watch. But, I'm not sure, but, the notion of Earth as some kind of prison for wayward souls that don't know, or wayward gods is a better way to put it. Like, we're all wayward gods. If you fuck up enough as a god, you get sent to Earth as a human, and you don't know you're a god. And so you basically have to experience mortality in the hopes that it will get you off your high fucking horse and get you to stop torturing humans, which you've probably been doing. And then, but when you die, you haven't learned your lesson, you reincarnate. So the more times you've reincarnated, that's your prison sentence. That shows that when you go to that's the light, that's the parole board hearing where you go in there and they're like, nope, you're going back. So that's one. So one version of your show is the people within some kind of cosmic prison that is hell.
Oh, it is hell, but it's beyond the human level. It's are you going to be reincarnated again? And so
that's a good show.
You're the same deity every time that's facing the parole board and reviewing your actions on Earth. Now, here's the trick, though, Duncan. Are you going to be human each time, or sometimes they're like, we are here to judge your actions for this recent 700-year life you had as a tree.
This is the beginning of every episode. Like, okay, the beginning of every episode is this fucking scary ass god in some form of, I don't know, sitting in a pentagram or whatever you use to freeze a god. And then they're showing, okay, here, let's do the life review. Well, it looks like this lifetime you spent 15 years kidnapping children and dropping their bodies into wax and turning them into wax sculptures. That was your very, whatever the fucking thing is, you're going back. And then, yeah, each episode is this being, whatever, being a lizard or whatever, and recreating the horror or something. I don't know, or it's a great video game. Maybe it's a video game.
I've thought of that too, a reincarnation video game. But the problem is, okay, and I'm basing this on the works of Alan Watts and so forth, where it's kind of what I believe, that there's one consciousness that keeps experiencing it by pretending it's different consciousnesses.
Yes.
And so that basically there's like one god of the universe that's like, because it's bored and also to explore and learn things, it eats itself and kills itself and lives off of itself and falls in love with itself and so forth. And to propel energy forward in a conscious way. And I thought it would be such an interesting video game, but you could never simulate it because the scale at which, if there is like, for example, if the Earth is like a spaceship of reincarnation and this has been going on for billions of years, there's so many playable characters.
That's right.
And you might think, oh, how fucking boring. I got reincarnated as a rose bush. You've got to worry about water and minerals and too much sunlight and people stepping on you all the time.
Oh, and all the other and that's the other thing is like, just as a human, we could never understand the experience of the flower, the tree. We sort of look at it and we're like, well, it doesn't have a brain, so can't work like us. But we'll never truly know. So who fucking knows what those things are experiencing?
You're constantly getting telegrams through the mycelium.
Yes.
You're getting messages constantly that are like, water's low. Yeah. They're building a highway.
There's that loud bird again. Fucking woodpecker eating me. Woodpecker eating me.
What the messages are.
Yeah, man. I this idea that you're talking about, there's a name for it, which I think I'm mispronouncing, but I've mispronounced it so many times and no one's corrected me. I'm just going to keep saying it the way I say it, which is a sinka beta tattva, which means simultaneous oneness and difference. So the Alan Watts version is, if you had unlimited power, eventually you would want to see what it was like to have limited power as a kind of like leela, a pastime. And so you end up as a person. But this version of it is actually, you are also simultaneously existing as the unlimited power, all one, completion of infinity. But that version of it is apparently always accessible. But you're essentially, it's like, well, the way Ramdas put it is we're all God in drag. But I think I would say we're all God like hour 4 into like a really powerful trip or something, a kind of dream state or something, which would be reincarnation. When you dream, isn't that kind of another life? Don't we kind of reincarnate every night? We fall asleep, can't remember we're people. Or if we do experience ourselves in a dream, it's in a different version of our lives, and we don't really even question it. I have like a complete different. I have no distinction between the living and the dead in my dreams. I have living and dead people like talking to each other, and I never seem to question it until I wake up. That's right, and that's kind of wild when you think about that. I mean, this is like Terrence McKenna would say, how people who are afraid of psychedelics or question them or whatever, they forget that like at any given moment half the planet is hallucinating, like in these incredible hallucinations called dreams, half the planet. What we figure, and this is part of my master class, is that I explain to people the perspective when you are experiencing the trip from the point of view of the mushroom. That the human is like a very powerful drug that the mushroom is able to experience. And this is how it is. This is the truth. This is the epiphanous Niagara. This is the Niagaras of epiphanous beauty at the end of time. For a split second, the mushroom is able to experience the ambulatory power of the animal that has digested it. Oh, God, the best. He must have been so fun to hang out with. Like, just the best. I'm so bummed he's not around anymore. Man,
you know what I love? I love to imagining Alan Watts, if he was still around, being like, and if you had an infinity of time and power, you would eventually dream that you were a warrior fighting dragons and so forth. And then you would imagine yourself to be in a more complex reality, with daily responsibilities and bills and so forth. You might even put in a day-to-day humdrum life. Something boring, something terrifying, something depressing. And then, given a long enough timeline, you would start editing videos on YouTube with Alan Watts voiceovers edited over some guy flying through mountains with electronic dance music playing underneath it.
Somebody please do that. Clip that. Put it to do exactly that, please, someone. That will be the greatest thing. James.
I would love to do that. I just need somebody to help me do the animations.
Are you kidding, man? Oh my God. After we record, I'm going to point you in the direction of something that I will help you. Like I'm going to show you this.
Well, I think maybe there's a meeting of the minds here. We've seen there's a great animation talent here.
Yes! Oh man! And after the podcast, but we have
this could be like Disney. This could be like Walt Disney and iWorks.
This is when did Bill Gates meet Steve? No, this is when, I don't know. It's when nerds hang
the
out.
guy met the guy.
This is what happens when nerds get together. Okay, wait, real quick. the whole, like, not the point. I'm just glad you came on the show. I hope you'll come on again, man. It's so
Yes,
fun.
yes.
I'm always in a work mode with you. I never, and like, there's like 15 minutes to talk, but like.
Well, now I got to remember to see you when I'm in Austin, which is maybe twice a year I'm there.
Man.
So I got to try to remember to catch up with you.
I'll give you my number after we get off this thing, or I think I have your. I don't know. My phone's out of juice. But so this is the most exciting thing. You have a new comedy special out, and how long were you preparing for this special? And I have not watched it yet. I have 3 kids, and I'm just fucked. I can barely do anything right now, so I apologize for that, and I can't wait to see it.
No, that's fine. Of course not. You got it. I know it's tough. It's probably not necessarily family hour stand up. Especially by the end of it, it gets dirtier as it goes on.
Yes.
Maybe the first 20 minutes is okay. Don't take my word for it. But yeah, of course, watch it whenever you want to. No
Where'd
big
you
deal.
shoot it?
We filmed it in LA at the Elysian Theater.
Oh, nice.
Almost exactly a year before it came out. And luckily it held up. And there wasn't anything too dated or none of the people I do impressions of died, which I was very worried about. So I was very grateful that didn't happen. And it's really fun. I mostly practiced it right before recording. I went on the road with some very friendly shows where I could experiment. Yeah. And I went on the road around the South with Gilbert Lawand. I don't know if you know, in Atlanta. I did Atlanta and all the cities around the South. And I did a shorter run in the Midwest, Chicago, Upper Midwest, Milwaukee, and stuff. And I did a couple of other shows here and there on the road, and I did a lot of shows in LA. And I kind of had it figured out where I was like, okay, it worked. It's not just an LA set.
Yeah,
it works in many places.
Yeah, right.
And it's kind of a survey of the stand-up that I've been doing post-pandemic. And it's a lot of media observations, a lot of impressions, and there's a lot of very dumb things and very smart ideas that then have a very dumb payoff.
That's my favorite.
And then I'm happy with this combination where I have some things from the road that are more for comedy club audiences that don't know me, and then some things that are really for the comedy nerds, and I married it all together in one special.
Beautiful. That's great, man. I'm glad to hear that too, because if you go on the road too much, you can get imbalanced to that kind of comedy. And if you go into the clubs, or if you are specific to a certain type of audience, it gets imbalanced that way. And finding a way to fuse those two together makes really good comedy, man. That's the best, when you see that balanced fusion of the two. It's so beautiful.
It can. Or some viewers may go, oh, gross, there's raspberries in my salad.
I like raspberries in my salad, man.
That's North Carolina right there.
I love a good raspberry salad. James, you're the best, man. Where can people see your special?
It's called Path of Most Resistance. It's streaming on YouTube. It's up there for free. It's on 800 Pound Gorilla, so you can see it on their YouTube page. And also, I have it on my playlists on my YouTube page, which is James Adomian XOXO. And it's on all my other social media, which is usually at @Adomian, and it's on my website. And it's called Path of Most Resistance. You can watch it in many places, and you can listen to it also like an album.
Everybody, subscribe to this brilliant, wonderful man's YouTube channel. I can't wait to watch the special, and I can't wait to see you when you come to Austin. You're the best, James. Thank you for your time.
It's always fun. It's good to see you, Duncan.
Thank you.
And I'll see you at a table read before long.
Yes, you will. See you, man. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you.
That was James Adomian, everybody. Watch his special, Path of Most Resistance. All the links you need to connect with James are down there. Thank you. I love you. Okay, cool. I think we're done.